Yo, yo, what's up, people? Hope you are doing well and hope isolation is good for you. In these weird times, I'm really hoping you're enjoying these podcasts and it's bringing a little bit of joy to your lives. On today's episode is a really close friend of mine, a guy called Brennan Bryarly, aka Option4. Option4 is known from his amazing music. He's also owner of HotBoi Records, which is a dope record label. Go check it out. I actually released, I think, their first single on HotBoi Records, which was Get on the Train. Also, outside of Option4, Brennan is one of the biggest promoters in Denver and has kind of created this amazing scene in Denver, and is kind of the reason why Denver has such an amazing electronic music scene. So without further ado, Option4, Brennan Bryarly, aka Option4.
Yo.
How's it going, man?
Man, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. It's 8:00 in the UK and just had my dinner, cooked for mum and dad, and now sitting on a phone call with you. And I've been waiting to do this for a while because we recorded a podcast, but you were way too stoned. You called me the next day, or you texted me the next day and was like, dude, you have to delete that. I literally don't have a fucking clue what I talked about.
Okay, I'll try and stop. I'll try and keep the 45-minute tangents about nothing to a minimum this time.
I'm fine with tangents. Anyway, how are you, man?
I'm great, man. I'm doing. I'm a lot less stoned since last time we talked, which is great. Everything's doing. Everything's going good. I'm kind of like. Yeah, I'm doing much better since the very beginning of the pandemic or whatever. Here in America, when we initially talked. So yeah, we got good weather. Like,
you've moved house as well, right?
Again, everything's like, things are starting to up. Say again.
You've moved house as well.
Yeah, I moved in the middle of this. That was a nightmare. I would never recommend that to anybody. Like, not even like my worst enemies.
No, I can imagine.
Moving alone, this thing was a pain. Moving sucks just in general. Like, I hope that I just die in this place and I never have to move. I think I have like a phobia just in general. It's my least favorite thing in the whole world.
The studio looks dope though. It looks like a nice space.
Man, yeah, I wish I would have. If I was on my phone, I would have given you a quick tour. But yeah, like the spot is nice, and it definitely like it feels good to have like the studio in the house, because for a while it was with my other schedule and everything, I had like an off, an actual studio that I was renting, the studio space I was renting, and this is just a lot more. It feels good to have it back. I'll just put it that way. It's nice to be able to like work on something.
It's so nice having a studio in your house. Like, I understand why people like having studios outside of their house, but for me, like, ever since day one of producing, I've always just written in my house. Right. And when I lived in LA for like 4 or 5 months, I had like a studio in like Hollywood, and it just felt so weird. Like, it felt like a day job.
Right.
Where like I had to, and I get it. It kind of was nice in certain situations, but it kind of felt like a job when you like wake up and you like have to go to the office and get your briefcase and get your Uber to the office.
But yeah, that in a way that's actually why I liked having the offsite studio in a way, because it was kind of like you have to break away from everything and just hole up, and it's like you are going to work in a way, which is just a different way of sparking your brain, I think. And so I can see it kind of being nice, but now that I got the studio back in the house, I'm like, oh my God, I never want to get a studio space again.
Yeah, totally. I think eventually I'd love to like build a house with a studio kind of attached to it, or part of it where your studio is just perfectly built. To be fair, my studio in Detroit is I'm really lucky. My studio in the UK is like the most perfect creative room. Like, it's just a room that I vibe with, and I think it's because I've just been here for like practically ever since I started writing. It's just perfect. But then my studio in Detroit, it's like sounds perfect, but the creative, I've still not got the vibe in the creative space yet. So it's like I've like my speakers aren't right, so I need to get new speakers because the room's so big, and it's just like it's a cool vibe, but it's still not where it is back home.
May I suggest plants or lava lamps? I hear that goes great for everybody else.
Lava
Just
lamps.
tossing it out.
Do you have a lava lamp?
I don't. I need a lava lamp just so I can get some inspiration up in this bitch. I'll tell you that much right now.
So what's going on, man? What's going on with the label HotBoi Records? For any of you that don't know, Option4 owns HotBoi Records. I love it. What's going on with it?
Man, I feel like it was kind of we kind of had like a little bit of a hiccup, obviously, with like, I think the landscape of releasing records now has changed in the past 2 months drastically. So it was kind of like a little bit of a hiccup on how to release, when to release, like, does it make sense to have a release schedule that we had for just a million different changes without the live events, because there's just a lot of things that, like from a marketing standpoint or from like a promotional standpoint, live events helped a lot when it came to this music, and so now it's like, how do we shift and promote and work on building a platform for people to discover this music, or hear the music, in the modern age right now. So that's actually been kind of fun to navigate. So we have a big record. I think a big record. I like there's these kids in LA named Steady Rock and Franklin Watts.
Yeah.
And they sent me this record a little while ago. It was probably, I want to say it was right around New Year's, and it blew me away. So that's coming out on June 5th. So really excited to have the next release during this era. It's exciting to see how that's going to go. I think people are really going to like it. And I think it's a really nice like summertime banger. So I'm excited for that release to come out. As far as like all the other artists and stuff that are going to come out for the rest of the year, there's a bunch of stuff planned. So now I don't know if I'm going to start. I'm still on the fence about whether or not I'm going to start releasing more music in maybe a faster time period, because we just have the internet now. It's not like we have festivals or like, you're not going to get, if it's the big record, you're not going to have 100,000 people in a festival hearing it for the first time this summer or anything.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm working right now and trying to figure out the right strategies on releasing all the new music, but we got a bunch of good records coming in. So it's exciting to finally start getting them all out. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on a little bit. And hopefully by the end of the year, we're going to put out, I think, at least in my anticipation, more records than we had before. Because normally we were just doing like one record a month, and I think now it's like the restrictions are kind of lifted a little bit on what you can or can't, or like what makes sense and what doesn't when it comes to releasing music. So.
See, I think it's such a strange, because I still don't know what's right or wrong, and I have like a meeting with my label guys every week in my team, and it's like we have this conversation. Is like we rely so much on DJs playing our records, and we rely so much on punters going to the clubs and shazamming our records and taking videos and seeing what the next, like what's this record, and then putting it up on Reddit or putting it up on Instagram or DMing the DJ and being like, what the hell is this track ID and things like that, and like building a hype. And for me, my biggest records have always been based on the hype. I would never say I've really just released a record and like not really hyped it for a long period of time for it, and then it done well. Usually what I find is that the best records are something that I've been playing for like a year, and like a few of my mates have had the records and they've been playing it for like 6 months, and everyone's like, what the fuck is this record? We need it. But that's gone now. It's completely gone. And live streams, I still don't think you get that hype, because I don't think people have fully tuned in. You go to a club, you're fully tuned in. You're on a live stream, I don't think you're fully tuned in. You're cooking in the kitchen, you've got your friends over, you're all having conversations, you're on your phone, you're doing whatever, the washing up or whatever. I don't know. I just don't think you're that like, I'm going to the club, I'm drinking, I'm doing whatever I need to do, but I'm just fully here to party.
Right. Yeah, you're 100% right. Navigating that's really difficult, I think, for every label at the moment.
Yeah.
Live stream culture is really cool. Actually, I was very on the fence about it in the very beginning, but I actually think it's like I've actually really grown to appreciate it. But it's not necessarily like song ID culture is like that's something that's lacking. I mean, even like for example, I feel like from what I've seen, like the way people interact with a live stream on Instagram as opposed to the way people interact to a live stream on Facebook as opposed to Twitch are completely different. Like I
Yeah.
feel like Twitch, since it's kind of like a gamer platform, you'll have a bunch of people in the chat room, but they're all kind of like making jokes, they're talking to each other. It's like they're engaging, like it's like they're almost like talking to each other while a concert's going on, which
Yeah,
is
whilst
actually
it's
really
happening.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like I think that's been really fascinating. I've only played a few, but I've been very fortunate to get booked on some really uh like bigger streams, and it has happened in some instances where people have DM me like, yo, what was this song on this number, blah blah blah, blah stuff like that. And it's just on a lot like smaller scale because these people are not necessarily like, there's a difference when somebody's at a concert and they're on Instagram or they're on social media and they're showing like an amazing moment. That's
Yeah.
why they got their phone out, is because they're like feeling something or they feel
Yeah.
like it's worth showing their friends. And then that type of interaction that comes from that is what propels the hype. It's when other people are like, yo, what is this? Like, oh, I don't know, what is it? Kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's just different. But I think that the more people get used to streaming, if that's really going to be our reality when it comes to dance music in the next 6 months or 8 months, I think that that culture will finally, it'll start to kind of bubble back. It'll just be, it's just different right now. Everything is
Yeah.
new right now.
Totally.
Since when has the music industry really, like, or at least electronically, really cared about streaming platforms per se? It wasn't. It was like you would see a DJ or an artist go live on Instagram once in a while, and you click on it and watch what they were doing, but it rarely was about like them performing or anything.
Yeah.
So
what's your thoughts on
I think
like?
it's fascinating.
What's your thoughts on like ticketed live streams?
Well, I think that is the future, and I think that the reason that's the future is in certain ways. It just has to be done in a unique way. I think the concept of having a stream right now is people are kind of like, okay, they've seen it, like they've seen big produced streams with lights and lasers. They've seen streams of like really, really, really big names playing amazing music like in their kitchen. They've seen like I think that the definition of what would work for a stream to be ticketed is two separate things. I think that ticketed live streams are definitely going to come. I've seen people just be like, you know what, it's $10 and I'm going to perform a concert like on Sunday. And if you want to pay $10 to see this artist or whatever, people are paying that. Like we're seeing a lot of like, especially not necessarily in like the DJ side of things, but like in the live, live performance like spectrum, like bands and stuff. That's actually something that fans are really unopposed to, because they do want to support the act. They know their money is going to the right spot, or they know where their money is actually going. I think people are a lot more apt to doing that. What I don't think was necessary, what I don't think will work is like these general paywall type situations where it's just like pay $10 and here's your lineup. I don't think that necessarily will exist for a while unless there's some sort of special twist to it, meaning like some sort of virtual reality experience or something like that.
Yeah, because I've been hit up. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I've been asked to do a Minecraft festival, which is based on. It's kind of just based on. It's not a live stream. It's pre-recorded, but you kind of choose your own characters and everything like that, and people can kind of pay to go in there. But I'm really interested. I haven't done live streams. I know most of my peers have, but I'm still not fully into it, if I'm totally honest.
well, well, when you do one, let me put it this way: if you do your first one, you got to call me beforehand because you got to learn from my terrible mistakes. I think everybody in the very beginning kind of like they jumped in, and there's been a learning curve. Like there's some of these people that are putting together some amazing streams that are
Yeah.
blowing shit out of the water. Like people are really getting creative with the content that they're putting out right now, which is what I think is the best part about this whole fucking COVID-19 thing anyway.
Yeah,
So
yeah, totally.
the learning curve is pretty thick, but I think that if you end up, choosing to do one, it's got to be, just hit me up. That you can learn from the plethora of my mistakes. I've done like 5, and I think I fucked up 5. So
yeah, I've got a concept in my I've got a concept in my head what I want to do. But for me, it's like a multi-camera experience, and I live in the middle of nowhere, so I've got like fields and fields. So I want to do it in the middle of a field, like during sunset, and just do it like unbelievably amazing. But I'm still just not. I think it will have to be ticketed for me. Think
well, it kind of has to be in a way because what artist has a lot of money to produce something that really is going to stand be some kind of crazy experience for people. That shit's expensive, man. It's like at the same time. What if you're an artist right now that doesn't have 4 CDJs and a mixer in their house?
I don't have
right?
decks right now. I don't have decks.
Right, like you got to rent, you got to, it's a lot of money to try and do. So, I think that people are kind of getting to the point where now, if this is going to kind of be our reality, I think the future is some sort of paywall situation where fans can support the artists that they want and support the music that they want, kind of choose what to pay for. I think there's, at the same time, there's going to be a tremendous amount of free streaming
Totally,
still.
yeah.
So it's not like, it's kind of like, I don't see the whole industry being like, we have to set up a paywall, or like every single DJ in the world being like, I don't think that's the move at all. I think that right now, the most beautiful thing that's ever existed is the fact that you can pretty much log on at any time and catch somebody playing something that you're probably going to enjoy. And
I think it's beautiful. I truly think it's beautiful, but I also think it's not at the same time. And the reason why I say that is because you've been to Austin, haven't you? We were in Austin. Were we in Austin together?
Which tour?
I can't remember. Were we in Austin together? I can't remember. No, I don't think we did.
In Dallas. We played in Dallas. We played in Dallas a couple of years ago together.
Okay, so Austin, like you go to like Austin or like Nashville, and you've got people in the bars, and they're just playing live music all day long, right? You go to these places all day long, and it's so amazing. And then you realize that these people like can't even pay their rent. And it's almost like you're on this like tip culture thing, which I think is amazing because we do it because we absolutely love it. And
right.
But for me, the reason why I like DJing, I love playing music to people to escape reality. And for me, a club is or a festival or a venue of some sort is a perfect way to escape reality. And I think the thing with just putting it out there is that for me, it takes away that specialness of I'm going to see Option4 tonight, and I cannot fucking wait, if you know what I mean. Well, not I'm on Instagram. Oh, look, Option4 is doing a live stream. And I think for me, like from the ticketing thing, it's not about the money. It's about the exclusivity, and it's about the the
Right.
experience. Whereas, so like if I
Did you
bought
did you get your ticket? Yeah.
exactly, yeah. So it's like I got my ticket to see Option 4, and he's playing at this time tonight, and I'm gonna make my whole evening about that. Whether it's $5, whether it's $10, whether it's whatever, how much it is, but I think it's about creating an experience and giving people something that isn't a throwaway society, because it's going to be controversial to say, but I feel that music is pretty throwaway, if you know what I mean. The amount of music that gets released on a day-to-day basis and just gets forgotten about. And also with like Spotify, Apple Music, all of the like YouTube Music, all of them, you know what it's like. You get in someone's car and they listen to 2 seconds of a record, and then they're switching onto another record, and then they're switching onto another record, and it's kind of that
That's
like,
always
yeah, which at the end of the day is reality. I have no issues with that, but I want to create something that's not a throwaway society. You don't. I've said this analogy many times. You don't walk into an art gallery and take the picture off the wall and just walk out with it and put it on your wall for a day, and then go, oh, I don't want this, and then take it back to the gallery and pick another one up. You go and buy a piece of art and you put it on your wall, and you enjoy that for as long as you possibly can.
Yeah, no, I completely understand what you're saying. I don't think, but the difference there is that like beforehand, that was how musicians made their living off the live events, right?
Yeah.
Because that was what they could offer that would be different, right? And now you take away the live events, and that there's no like industry per se. It really kind of, I mean, straight up from like an artist perspective and a fan perspective, I appreciate it more because there is no money involved anymore.
Yeah.
If you think about it, anybody that's playing right now, anybody that's making a record, anybody that's producing or spending their time trying to create art or express themselves right now, that's a beautiful thing because everybody's on the same playing field. There's no money involved. If you're doing it, you love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're doing it for the right reasons. It's not, there's not going to be like, in the, the idea of like, the rumors that happen in the world where it's like, somebody has a following and they get some ghost produced tracks and now they're a DJ or now they're an artist. Those days, I think a lot of those people are not looking at the music industry as being like a good thing they want to invest in right now.
Totally, man. Yeah.
Like the industry, if you remove the money in the industry from the, you move the business side from the art, then it's like, it's kind of like what we have right now. Anybody can play. When they play, they're happy that anybody tunes in. It's like, it doesn't matter if you're playing for 9 people or 300,000 people. The premise is still like, it's like, if you're going to do this, you do it because you love it. And that's a beautiful thing, I think.
Yeah. It's like pirate radio. It's like back in the day, back in the pirate radio days where people, but again, it was special. Like you had to like, you couldn't always get it, if you know what I mean. You were in like the middle of London, or you were driving through Bristol and you'd be like, oh shit, I can get this station. And you'd like tune in and you'd like wait in your car for a little bit, or you'd like have to like put an antenna out your window to pick up the FM radio because it's like, I really want to listen to this tonight because I know it's going to be good. And I don't know if it's going to happen next week because the antenna or the distributor that they're sending out is like been taken by the police or something like that, if you know what I mean. And like, I totally agree with what you're saying. Is like, it's gone back to the times where there's no finances. There's still finances involved. But also, I think for a long time, and you as a promoter, obviously, if people don't know, Brennan Option4 is one of the biggest promoters in Denver. But as a I fucking lost what I was going for. Oh, mate, I completely lost.
Oh, maybe you smoked weed this time. The tables have turned. No, like I kind of see I kind of see as like from the promoter standpoint how like is do you think that are you trying to kind of get at like from a promoter standpoint, do you see promoters promoting live streams and trying to generate income and pay DJs that way and
No,
trying to
I've got
exist
it.
in
I've
some
got
way,
it.
shape, or form?
I've got it. So I think for a long time, it wasn't about the music. It was more so about your following and how many tickets you can sell. And if you didn't, not due to the quality of your music. It was more because it's all about selling tickets. Really, everyone has to make money. You're getting a DJ fees. You're doing this. You're doing that. Your music was almost your business card, and the shows was your income. Yeah, but I think now it kind of takes people back to that level playing ground where it brings it back to the music.
Yeah, no, 100%. The other thing about that is, with no matter how you look at it, if the industry right now is just on pause, that also means kind of in a lot of ways the gatekeepers are not working.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like for example, if you're an up and coming artist that is working really hard in the studio, you're working in your house, you're not like well plugged in the industry, you don't like, or you don't know any promoters or other DJs, you're just like out there making fire art. That's like because it is a like a level playing field. There's a tremendous amount more opportunity now than there ever was before. I think.
Yeah.
I think that's actually exciting. I can't like the new music, the new art, the new stuff that's going to be coming out of this. I think is by far like the most exciting part of the business right now. When the business comes back, whenever that is. I think that there's going to be, especially with like in this like streaming era, I feel like there's going to be like I've been really like watching a lot as much as I can just to try and see who's doing anything different, who's doing anything kind of like exciting in that world. And I found some amazing shit, like some really, really, really talented like artists that are doing stuff quirky and cool in a different way. And I'm sitting here as a promoter, I'm sitting here going, man, when all this shit comes back, I want to book that guy. I want that guy to come play one of the parties, So I think that the reset of the industry and the reset of the gatekeepers and the reset of just the way things were allows everybody in the business. It allows us as artists, as DJs, as promoters, as managers, as record labels, as A&Rs, as PR companies. It allows us all to sit there and say, okay, cool, it's all reset. When we do come back, we're allowed to come back fully. What can we fix that we never really had time for before? Like, what can we do better as managers, as PR agencies, as promoters, talent buyers, venue owners? I mean, everything. It's like I was talking with my boss the other day, and I was like, things were moving so fast at such an alarming rate. I mean, I was throwing 5 to 7 shows a week at the same time as touring at least 100 something dates a year.
Yeah.
At the same time as just do whatever. There were all kinds of little things that I'm like, man, you know what? I would love to fix that about that club. We should, I never had time to really like dive in and fix a lot of small things that I knew I could kind of be doing better just in every form. So I think that everybody in the whole world, like this reset is going to be a healthy thing. When everything comes back, it's a matter of not we just got to make sure, no matter who it is, I think as a culture, we need to make sure that when everything does come back, it doesn't jump right back into a machine that is like an industry. It jumps back in like a creative, ethical, cool, exciting, improved way of how people can have experiences with themselves and enjoy music.
So if you had a magic wand, what would be the top 3 things that you would change?
Oh my God, 3? All right.
Cheers to Topo Chico and Nick's Kicks.
Oh man, listen, you got to get on this shit. You see that shit? You don't have it in the UK, but I'm gonna send you a package.
Dude, I love Topo Chico,
man.
I love it.
It's the greatest drink. It's the greatest drink there ever was. I take showers in this now. I don't even drink anything else. I haven't drank regular water in like 3 months.
Have they sponsored you yet?
I'm working on that. I'm still annoying them.
So I found this drink, Nicks and Kicks. I don't drink soda anymore, so I'm literally on sparkling water or just water. But I found this, and it's like a sparkling orange drink with turmeric and cayenne pepper, and it's
All
like
right.
it's good. So
All
cheers,
right.
dude.
I'm in.
Cheers, dude.
Cheers. Dude.
So yeah, back to the magic wand.
Okay.
What top
First
3
thing,
things?
Magic wand. Okay. At Club Vinyl, there is this light. There's this little light, and it drives me fucking up a wall. And it is like a static yellow light that lights the stairs. And it's for safety because you have like 2 steps on this left side of things. But it doesn't matter what photo, what photographer, what red camera, $50 million device you take a photo on. It's like amazing production and this little bright yellow light just shining right at your eyeball like a miniature sun. And I fucking hate that thing more than anything. If that's the first thing that I'm changing. It's been bothering me for like half a decade, and I never have had the time. So can
we get new DJ gear in there as well?
Well, we got to get a lot of new shit. But, the one thing that I really want to do, just in general is, and this is like on a real note, my fear as a promoter and my fear as I don't know if I want, like, how do I put it? I'm gonna list out. I don't have a solution.
Yeah.
For this.
See, this is the thing that worries me, if I'm totally honest with you.
Yeah.
And I know I haven't let you finish, so sorry for butting in. But this is I have a few things that I would change about the industry. But will the powers at the top, because let's be honest, it's a business, it's an industry. Will the powers at the top listen to the people below? Because will it actually? That's the one question, and we'll come back to this question, but after you finish the other one. But that's the thing that I worry about the most is we can all talk about change. We can all talk about how amazing this reset could be, but we're all just fucking artists, and we're all just a bunch of hippie twats that want this to be like the best amazing thing, like the good old days where you just turn up to a rave and like pay a couple of dollars to get in or a couple of quid to get in, and you're like just buzzing until like 9 a.m. the next morning. But will the likes of Paradigm, WME, CAA, all of these big guys that have lost insane amounts of money, all the big promoters, Live Nation, like everyone, will it be like, okay, we all need to reset, and not reset, but we just need to make some changes, so that everyone gets looked after? Or could it be the case where it's like, we have literally had to let go so many people, we need to just get back to how it was, so we're earning so much money, and then we can make our money back, and we're back in the red, in the black, whatever it is.
I mean, obviously with corporations, money is going to be king because they're trying to take care of their people. But if I can give you any insight on that level of things, on like the higher end of things, I can honestly say this pandemic, this reset, has let me put it this way. People are working together right now that never in a million years, 3 months ago, you would have asked me if we're talking sworn enemies are working together.
Yeah.
Everybody, this is bigger than everybody. It's bigger than it's bigger than competition. It's bigger than the business side of things. And so that's one thing I've seen out of this that's been a tremendous positive. So yeah, I do believe that the people at the top, or the people that are bleeding the most right now, that are trying to, punch holes in the sinking ship or whatever, trying to stem the uh, stem the bleeding in whatever way. I can honestly say that this is, the amount of compassion I've seen on every level, on every phone call, every manager, every agent, every single person that I've talked to or been in meetings with or whatever over the past couple of months. Compassion's been the number one thing, and that's rare in the business.
Well, I think it's rare.
General.
I think
mean,
it's
it
rare
is.
in business. It's rare in business at the end of the day,
Yeah,
in
just
any
in
business.
business and business in general. Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I can say that with affirmative. Like I mean, the truth of the matter is, when this does come back, I do truthfully believe that this is going to come back in a very healthy, improved way. And if not, even if you just look at it from the business side of things, or capitalism, or competition, or whatever, what's going to happen is people are going to work harder. They're going to come up with cooler ideas. Content is going to be, one second, hang that phone up. I think that everybody is upping their game everywhere. Like, I mean, I think that when you have like a business or any type of industry, there comes to be like a certain status quo, like a way you operate in that realm. No matter what, I don't care what it is, what business it is. There's going to be like the status quo. When you take that away, I think that leaves, whoever's smarter or quicker or being more creative, or pumping different, like the right energy into it's like the wild, wild west again.
Totally.
So I do believe deep down that, things will be completely different when they come back. And I think it's going to be an improved, better way. I think that people are, not only from the fan perspective, they're going to appreciate those experiences again, when you've got like big fucking speakers beating your chest to death,
Totally, man.
I think that just in general, I feel pretty positive about the comeback 100%. I don't think it's going to go right back to business as usual. I think it's going to be business in a more compassionate way, because the people that are going to stick around to do this thing, the people that are going to survive, are the people that are going to survive because it's a passion project. It's you take the money.
I'm optimistic about it. I feel exactly the same. The people that I've spoken to, my agents, obviously my team, and promoters and club owners and stuff like that I've spoke to during it, is like, feels like a little bit more community, and it feels like people are back. Not back yet, obviously, because we don't know yet, but it's kind of feels like something else is moving on. However, I completely changed that whole thing. So going back to the magic wand, what's the 3 things you've changed? A light, but like on more of a as an artist for you, like, and also as a promoter, how you would like to change things.
As a promoter, I think the most exciting thing is going to be the absolute, just the reinvention / appreciation of local talent is going to go through the roof. I think that the locals are going to carry the torch in a really, really heavy way until touring can actually physically come back.
Totally.
In any way, shape, or form. I think that even if clubs are going to be held at small capacity, if they survive, knock on wood, that there's not going to be necessarily any money to, there's no room. You're not going to sell like we're not, it wouldn't make sense to do Will Clarke in a 50-person room, right? Like, as a promoter, because there's too many, even on the other side of things, it's just like there's too many fans that would want to go to that show that couldn't go to that show. That would be like you're only going to come twice a year over to America or something, right? Like it would, like, that's not going to make sense. So when capacities are going to be limited, it's going to give a real opportunity for your local DJs to really thrive and carry that torch and deliver underground cool music for people to listen to and dance to. And that's going to start, I think that's an opportunity that whole new careers are going to come from it,
well,
so
I think your answer to that, sorry mate, is that it kind of goes back to, And I don't want to say going back to how it used to be, because I don't think it should go back to how it used to be years ago. However, the resident DJ
Right.
years ago was so important. And I think that art, I I can't really say in Europe it's necessarily gone as far as it's gone in the US, because I truly think that in there's a bit more of a like a club culture in Europe, in the UK.
Right.
Not necessarily, I wouldn't say there's as many clubs, and I wouldn't say there's as many good clubs, and I wouldn't say the cultures are better, but I think it's just here, it's just there's a few places where residents are really respected as the residents.
Right.
And I don't think you necessarily have that in the US so much at all. And I think that would be really fucking amazing if in every city you have like 2, 3, 4 residents that just can literally rock the night all night long and just give people what they need and what they want. And also it's about creating an atmosphere. It goes back to that escaping reality, and
Right.
you're not like, I'd love that. And for me, it's actually taking work away from me, if I'm totally honest with
Right.
you. But
Right.
there's nothing better than going to a city when you know the culture is not a headline culture.
Right. Well, I mean, when you say headline culture, I think it's actually different. Like, I think what you're actually, I mean, at least when I hear that term, it's different to me. When I think headline culture, or like when you say that term, I think that the biggest issue is people people like, you know how like people appreciate, they don't appreciate music necessarily like they used to, where they'll skip through 30 seconds of a song, they're
Yeah.
going through Spotify, they get fed whatever their playlists are, everybody just digests whatever's pumped to them. It's like, it's very expendable.
Yeah.
The same thing happens in club life, where,
Totally.
oh, you've seen that DJ 7 times, I don't care about him anymore.
Totally.
Or and I think that, headline culture is, I think, just something new, and what promoters use to have something exciting, so that it's like a special guest type of situation, right? But I think that the beauty of what is about to happen when these venues open up is that, people are going to be buying tickets no matter who it is. You just have to, it's up to promoters to make sure that they program the best music, not
Yeah.
necessarily uh who can draw more tickets,
Yeah.
or who can be a bigger draw for the club per se. So
Yeah.
that's really exciting to me. I think that that's a cool thing, but at the same time, you do that, and like, here's the problem with resident culture. If it's just a resident, then you got the same 2 dudes or same 2 girls, same 2 whatever, same 2 people playing every single Friday night at their little party, right? And it could be a vibe because it's what they've kind of cultivated, right? But the problem is that now you got 7 million DJs that can't play.
Yeah.
And the second you do that, you divide it all. And then all of a sudden that comes up into this like kind of competitive culture that I've never really tried to ever push in Colorado as a promoter ever.
Well, I think there's a balance, and I think there's a balance to it. And for me, it would be more so about creating, like what you were saying, you were doing 7, 8 shows a week, sometimes more. And I think sometimes if you limit that, and yes, not everyone's going to make as much money. So everyone's got to accept that they're probably not going to make as much money for a while. But if you limit that and you make it special, then people don't get bored. And people, maybe they do, but I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to think on.
The only way I've ever been able to kind of like the only way I've ever been able to kind of like promote that is like, let DJs just like when you're like, at least it kind of worked for me. What happened, well, like when I first started, I was like the resident DJ. I played every night at 9 o'clock. Doors are at 9, and I played every single night, every single Friday night at 9 o'clock for 2 years.
Yeah.
And it was awesome because it was like a regular thing, and I loved playing, and I loved that. But it was like, the first time I played, I had like 100 friends show up. The second time I played, I had like 25 friends show up. The third time I played, I had 2 friends show up. The
Yeah.
fourth time I played, people were paying me not to show up.
Yeah.
Like it was like, you know, it was, you know, and that's the problem with that. So the one thing that I've always tried to like do, especially in Colorado, when I was, you know, when I was booking a lot of parties, is I was trying to explain to everybody that you shouldn't play that often. If you oversaturate, then you dilute your art in your own way too, you know? And so it depends on whether or not, you know, when like if it really comes down to like the art of DJing, or if you're a true DJ's or a DJ's DJ party, it's like the party has to be bigger than the DJ, right?
Totally.
The DJ,
Totally.
the party has to be king, right?
Totally.
So it's like the people that have been able to do that throughout the years are the people that still have parties and still are able to play for 20 fucking years and still have the same residency.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. But when people think, you know, the majority of a lot of these new DJs, or the majority of a lot of these people, that like, you know, are, you know, becoming DJs in the past 10 years, or being interested in the culture, the illusion is I want to play music because I want to be Chris Lake, or I want to be on the big stage at Red Rocks, or I want to be Garth Brooks and wherever, you know. I mean, that's kind of like, that's like the carrot the music industry kind of, you know, dangles out there as like the goal to achieve, right?
Yeah.
So I think that you know, the hope is that, you know, maybe when this all comes back and it's all going to be like locals just carrying the torch and crushing it, I think that, you know, maybe there's some room there to develop new parties, where here is the concept of this party.
Yeah.
The first Friday of every month is just locals. We're not going to book a big headliner. We're going to say this is the crew, and they're going to rotate once a month, and maybe these 12 DJs are going to play that weekly, you know, and 3 each week, and it's different. And then you keep everybody else playing other stuff too, but that way it's like special every time. I mean, there's a million different things that we can do when it comes back that we'll have a lot more freedom to, when it's not necessarily about what kind of headliner can sell what kind of ticket and what ticket price, you know?
See,
So
I also like the concept of, which this really just turns round to building a culture, and the promoters promoting and having a strong enough kind of belief that their community believes in them enough, where and that's to never release the lineup. So
I mean, yeah, you could go around. You could definitely do that, and that could be really, really interesting. Only the people with big followings can do that, though. You know, it's kind of like you have to be pretty. I mean, just from like a promoter standpoint, or at least in my experience, it's like chicken and the egg. Greatest idea ever, but you probably can't do it until you're big enough and you've done enough parties, or you know enough people follow you to pull it off.
I disagree to a certain extent. I agree in the short term, 100%. I totally agree with you in the short term that you need something cultivating it. However, for me, does it need, like, if it's not really costing anyone anything to throw a party, if that makes sense. Obviously there's costs all around, but I think if you build something from the ground up and build the foundations right, in years to come, it will eventually pay off. And
I mean, but you know what the end goal of that is? I mean, I don't know, I'm not trying to call out names or anything, but like, I mean, it was not negative anyway, but like, if you look at like what the Fuse guys have done in the UK, you know, it's like you go to a Fuse party, but it's like, you know, the X amount of residents there. It's like Archie and Seb and whatever, right? That party has allowed them to tour on a bigger scale across the globe now. You know, because of it. And they had like a unique thing going. They got a very unique thing going. It's a very cool situation. I mean, the parties are pumping, but you know, they couldn't have, I don't believe they couldn't have just said, I mean, somebody's got to promote the party, right? Somebody's got to have some sort of following. You can't just say Fuse is the party. I'm going to go, but I don't know who's playing, but I booked it. But you know what I'm saying? You have to have some sort of like, Like getting away, getting
but
away with trying to start a party without a following, but no lineup is really, that's an art form.
it is
I
an
don't
art
see how that
form.
works.
It is a true art form, but I believe it can be done with the
Well,
right
you know what?
with the
Sure.
right crew. And
Yeah.
I think a classic example, and this might piss people off, but this is said in the nicest possible way. In America, in the American culture, desert hearts, they've created a culture where
Right.
at the beginning they weren't huge DJs, they weren't huge
Right.
producers, they weren't known for their releases. Don't get me wrong, they're dope
Right.
releases, but they built a culture, and how they built that culture is by just fucking doing it. And
Right. Yeah. I mean,
I think if you were to start a party yourself and it was just you by yourself, I think it would. And you weren't doing lineups and stuff like that. I know that you could do it, but I don't. I think if you were to start it with a crew, where there's loads of interesting artists and things like that, I think that just makes it easier when all the burden's not on one person, if you know what I mean. And
yeah.
I think that's when communities come together and you're like, oh yeah, like it gets to the point. What was it? There's been loads, but like let's say Circle Loco in
Right.
Ibiza. Obviously, there's an Italian party that's been going on for years and years and years, and obviously the residents now are extremely famous, and they book famous artists now, but they don't need to. I remember when I was living in Ibiza, and they did their, I think it was Monday's DC10. Um, like half the DJs, like no one had ever heard of, but that was one of the busiest parties ever on the
Right.
island. And I think it's just about sticking to your guns and just doing it. But I think you have to have the
Yeah.
right
Well, I mean,
creatives around you.
I agree with you. My biggest fear about all this shit coming back is that when it does, the demand to get tickets is going to be through the roof.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that just from the tick. Like, I just canceled a big show. You know, we just had to postpone it for another 13 months or 14 months, and you know, we offered up refunds. Everybody could get their ticket if they wanted, you know, get their money back if they needed it, whatever. And it was like not even 2% even wanted a refund. They're
Yeah.
just like, I'll wait till it comes back because the demand, they know like when
Yeah.
the event happens, they're not going to get that ticket back. It doesn't matter about the $50 or whatever they spent on it, you know. So it's like the worry is that the demand is going to be so big to get back into some sort of social situation where there's loud music playing that there's going to be people that exploit that shit. You're going to see stuff where it's like, cool, it's $100 a ticket
Totally.
because we can only sell 100 of them. And
Yeah.
then the fear is that, okay, cool, only rich people get to enjoy music now. Like
Yeah.
that can't be the case. And so I think that, you know, there's gonna be markets for people that are like, you know, it's gonna be, I mean, there's no rules right now. And the hope, or at least I mean, the worry is that when things do come back, that people try to gouge and figure out a way. I mean, they're hurting on money too, right? So
Yeah.
they're going to try and make as much money as they can as well. So
Totally.
it's like, I think that discussion is something that you know, needs to kind of come to the light and make a decision here pretty soon, because the fact of the matter is, like, this culture will die if it's just rich people like that can afford tickets. Period. Like,
Well, that's not what it's
is
about.
something that should be.
That's not what it's about.
Yeah, especially our culture, especially when it comes to like music that you have to dig for and that's not on the big radio stations and it's not getting pushed by like, you know, the big streaming outlets and stuff. So my hope, I think that the way we get around that and the way that as a culture we get around that, at least at first, is, you know, dive and invest heavily into the local DJ scene that each city has, you know. And I think that's where the answer is. I think to some extent that's going to change at some point, no matter what. There's going to be somebody that's like, fuck it, I got some big name. It's $250 a ticket, and there's only 150 tickets, and they're probably going to sell out like that because it's like something new or something exciting, something different,
Yeah.
whatever that is. How long that bubble exists, I don't know. And so that's kind of what my worry and my concern is that the demand is not going to be. I mean, the demand will be too hyped, too overhyped, that we will lose interest of real fans.
See,
and that's the word.
Yeah, I agree to a certain extent. The way I'm looking at things in the UK, for me, because I'm not a name here, if you know what I mean. I don't think people really know who I am as an artist here, and I've been speaking to my agent over here, me and my team, and we're just like, I just want to play. I want to like be able to give people that experience to listen to fucking good music. And I'm like, I don't want to get paid for it. I will literally come and we can do like a door split, and I will just is like whatever we make. And if we don't sell tickets, we don't sell tickets. And if we do sell tickets, then fucking happy days. And it's like back in the olden times when like you didn't know if people were going to turn up to your show, and like I'm treating myself like a local, and I'm like, fuck it, let's try this. Because I think like it's hard to do that in the US because there's a lot more expenses. Like I think it will get to that point to a certain extent in the US, but everyone has to fly everywhere if you're like usually booked as a headline DJ. But for me, I can drive to every single city in the UK within 5 hours. And I think by doing something like that, it's helping smaller promoters promote shows that they might not have ever been able to afford in the first place. Right. B, it gives everyone a really cheap option. Like, it's the one thing that I do like here is that you can go to a club for like $5, $6, $7 and still see a dope DJ. And then I think it also, and to be selfish, it also helps me. It puts me in front of people, and it builds me as an artist as well. And I think there's going to be so many people doing that here, and probably in the US as well.
Well, it's going to kind of have to be, I think, just because, you know, we don't know what the travel restrictions are going to be when it comes to international travel. And also, I mean, obviously the big fear is what's going to happen this fall or this winter if there is a resurgence of this bullshit too. So you know, being in the UK, you know, that's kind of it's kind of fucking awesome in a way because there's a million parties and a million small parties and a million small pubs and a million small bars, and that shit's gonna rip. Maybe I'll see if I can figure out a way to go to England.
Come and fly over. Stay with me, mate.
The problem is, you know, in America, like you said, everything is so cost intensive because it's all so spread out, and it's not like every city has 30 venues that have 30 parties going on all at once. You know, here in Denver, we have a lot of music venues and we have shows every single night, and it was just a very, very strong like music culture. But you know, not every city necessarily is like that per se. You know,
totally.
There's very limited options.
I'm really excited to see what's gonna happen in New York when all of this is over, because obviously New York's been hit the hardest, but New York culture, dance culture, personally, I feel kind of just like fell off a little bit. And you've got Brooklyn Mirage, which is obviously in a fucking amazing venue.
Yeah.
But I just can't see it being open for a while. And you've got some other amazing venues, but I played Red Room on my tour in February. I think I played it. Dude, it was almost like I was back. It just felt like a proper club. It was like the sound system was amazing. You could put your hand out and you couldn't even see a hand out in front of you. Just like a couple of lights. Right. Couldn't see the crowd. The crowd could barely see you. And it was just like grooving all night. And I've not really ever experienced that in America so much. Grasshopper used to, when it was just like a proper basement.
Yeah, that room was like, and with the hazer, you couldn't see anything.
No,
That was
exactly.
you saw the big red grasshopper, man. R.I.P. I love that movie so
Yeah,
much.
rest in peace. But yeah, I don't know. I think it could actually bring out some interesting venues. Then it comes down to the local councils, especially like here in the UK, local councils, local governments, and stuff like that, allowing parties to happen in different venues.
Yeah.
Because I think like
Well,
here is there's gonna be fucking loads of free raves that we know there is. It's gonna happen here in the UK, and I hope it brings back that free rave culture to a certain extent, where people just go party in a field for like all weekend and just bring their sound systems.
bro, like so in this parking lot behind my house, right where I just moved, man, like it's like the most beautiful shit ever. Like there's this like crew, and it's like a couple DJs, but just like the community, like that really fucks with like independent kind of like industrial goth music,
Yeah,
a very niche culture, and they love the venue so much that they've been just going to the parking lot of the venue every night at like 9:30 and going to like 1 a.m. and like 15, 20 cars show up. Everybody's socially distanced. They have one small little speaker in the middle, one shitty little like Bluetooth speaker or whatever the fuck. You can barely hear it. And dude, like I'm telling you, like the 20 people are all just dancing in unison and talking to each other, and like that type of. I mean, to me, it's just the most beautiful thing in the world,
love
because
that.
that's what everything embodies. Like last night they were dancing in the rain for an hour. It was like cold, but they didn't
Yeah,
stop. They were just getting it, and I think that we're gonna see, that's just inherent of humans. Humans need connectivity. This staying away from everything and isolation has been brutal for, I mean, the mental health problems that are probably going to stem from this for a long time. We don't know what the impact really is
yeah,
going to be, even though it's only been a few months. So I see stuff like that, and I get very, very encouraged for the future, because everything is going to come back, and when it does, it's going to be, people won't take it for granted.
totally,
That was the
man.
one thing that I feel like in a lot of ways that I need to change. If you want to talk about a magic wand as a promoter, I got wrapped up in expanding and growing things so big so
Yeah,
that Denver could have big, big, big events that
yeah,
never could exist here before.
yeah, yeah,
And I worked so hard at building that culture and getting things to be, on a scale that were, put us up on the same level as a lot of others, big cities, with 5 times the population that, Denver has, in America. And I think that, like I said, well, I was throwing like 5, 7 shows or something a week. I think that by doing that, even though they were all like different fan bases and different communities and different like people with different styles of music in a lot of ways, and I was able to kind of like balance it, like look at the lines of the matrix and be like, all right, that person's going to come out on Thursday night, that person's going to come out on Friday night, that person's on Saturday.
yeah,
Here's the music for this, and kind of create something for everybody. I think that when things do come back, I don't think I'm going to be throwing. I don't think there's a need to throw as many shows. I think that I want to offer. My dream was to make sure that any night of the week you could go out, and we pretty much are. We pretty much had that before everything shut down. And the negative side of that is when you throw 50 shows, right? Most people haven't thrown 50 shows in their life, but I'd thrown 57 shows by March 1st
yeah.
this year.
It's crazy.
And I was sitting here thinking, when I finally had time, I was sitting here thinking, I was like, what shows were special? Which are the ones that stood out? Which are the ones that I feel like I caught that feeling where I was like, this is why I'm in music.
Yeah, man.
Like, what show was I standing in the middle of the dance floor? Like, cause I'm still one of those promoters that I go to every show if I'm in town. I'm at every fucking show. I'm there from beginning to end. It doesn't matter if I work 10 hours that day. I'm out till 2 a.m. going to every party that I'm throwing or supporting every show that I can. 5 nights a week minimum. That was just my general schedule when everything was ramped up. And the problem with that is, even as the promoter or as the person doing this, it was really hard to find that moment. I had to throw, like, at first it was like after I threw 10 shows, it was like, my rating on like those special, crazy, euphoric moments of like, holy fuck, this is amazing. That was happening like in the beginning, the first year, it was happening every single show. But I
Yeah.
was I only threw 13 shows my first year.
Totally.
Second year, I threw 60 shows, right? And
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, it was like 10 or 15 of those shows, I was able to keep that momentum and keep that feeling. But when it goes to 400, chasing, in a year, that's more than one a day, technically. You're sitting here going, the amount of special moments as a promoter started getting fewer and far between.
Totally.
And then at that point, I realized that I was just more of like a steward more than I was like a curator or truly an actual promoter. I was more of just like a civil servant. Like,
Yeah.
I would book that show because I knew people really wanted to see it, and that would pay for something that I really wanted to lose money on. And this would, you know what I mean? It was kind of like I built like an ecosystem where everything could exist, but it wasn't necessarily every show was good. Does that make sense?
I think it comes back to that saying, like, quality over quantity.
Right. And I'm sure there's a balance. I'm sure there's a balance to that. Like, I don't want to go, I'm not going to open back up and throw 12 parties a year. I think I'd get lynched. What I guess I am trying to say is that, like, there's got to be some sort of balance. And that's one thing that I'm going to magic wand next time. I'm going to make the party more special, less frequent. And then when that happens, it'll open up a lot more opportunity for other people to throw their parties, and because I mean, I think when, the funniest thing about this shit is when music actually does come back, we're going to see promoters come out of the woodwork. We're going to be like, we're going to see people that just have money. We're going to see people like tech companies being like, we're going to start a venue now because it's the highest thing. You're probably going to see an influx of people that are now, are trying to contribute to the culture when everything does come back that were never involved before. Yeah. And I firmly believe that. So it's like, the benefit to all that is that, man, the idea of trying to make everything special, every single show special.
I agree.
It's almost impossible, but that's exciting.
I totally agree I totally agree with that, because for me, like, back in 2008, I think it's just about having the foundations right for me. Like, I just come off, I was super lucky that my tour didn't get cancelled. I only had one show postponed, which was the Seattle show. And I can happily hold my hands up and say that in 19, 20 shows, however many we did, there was one I didn't enjoy. And I remember back in 2018 where I did 112, 115 shows that year. And I can, on one hand, count on how many shows I actually enjoyed playing. And I think it goes back to that thing, is like, if the foundations are right and we're doing it for the right thing, for the right reasons, and I've got the right people around me, and that's when I'm kind of the happiest. And since being back, like, I'm the type of person, and you know me, but I'm the type of person that I want to be playing every weekend. I want to be touring. Like, I tour like 3 nights, three shows in one night if I could. And for me, part of that is I just want to play. Just want to play and just give people an amazing experience. But there's also like a financial side of things with that, if you know what I mean. And it's that wanting to earn more money and more money and more money and grow my business and have money so then I can invest in other people and help other people get to where I'm at, if you know what I mean, and help people grow to bigger where I'm at and help me get to bigger where I'm at. And for me, since being home since March, really, and just being like, I'm not earning a single penny. I'm super lucky that I have money in the bank, but I've realized that I don't need to tour 6 days a week. Like, I can have a very easy life and a very nice life by just picking and choosing what works for me and what's A, gonna be fun for me, and B, gonna benefit my career. I think it's just about, like what you said, it's just about, I'd rather do all the shows I'm super excited to do rather than go and do like, uh, that last time I played there sucked. The time before I played there sucked. Like, why am I going to go do it? Like, there's a part of me that will go and do it because I want to go and prove that I can kill it. And there's a part of me that wants to just go and build more and more fans. And of course I do. But I think there comes a point when you also have to question, or I also have to question myself. And it's like, why am I doing this? And if it's just purely for financial gain, it's not, for me, it's not really about that. Because I think this has just made me realize is that happiness really, really, really doesn't come by just adding zeros in your bank account.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I think as an artist, the way this system is built, it's like you starve because you spend time not pursuing other secular work that can make money, but you spend time pursuing an art and spend time developing that art, spend time trying to market and push, that art out to the world. And you starve forever until it finally starts to catch fire in the sense where people actually finally appreciate it and will pay to see you play.
Yeah.
And so when that comes, you're like, for me, as a DJ even, or a producer, or a promoter, the first, golly, I want to say first 6 years of doing it, 7 years of doing it full time, no check coming, no fucking every 2 weeks, here's your account, nothing, just like live, eat, breathe, die on ticket sales, whether that be from, whatever, to finally making enough money to pay for yourself and be like, wow, I'm not worried about rent this month, is like that's the poison that this industry, feeds you, and that's why it's so easy to get so wrapped up in thinking, that's why I think a lot of artists are always thinking like, oh man, they need festival billing over here, or they need this, they need that, because in the end, it's like they've been starving for so long, they finally start making enough money to pay for things and live like, off their art. And then once that happens, it's like it's an endless pit of money that you need to try and keep everything afloat. It's like it's kind of a backward system. And so I hope that that's one thing that doesn't happen. And I think, in the future. And I think that the reason that happens is it's like it's all propaganda. It's like it's all like, you see TV shows are built on this hype propaganda type nonsense where you're going to be a star because Simon Cowell tells the world that you're a star. And then after 20 years of whatever show that reality TV show is, I think we only remember like 2 or 3 that actually made it out of all the winners every year for all that shit.
Exactly.
So, I think that the tough part about, in the end, the only thing that makes sense and keeps everything centered is, at least for me, and what kept me going when I was eating like $3 fucking burritos at Taco Bell, was identifying whether or not you can do it, or whether or not you'll die if you don't.
Totally. I totally agree. Because
that's it. I mean, if it's like right now is the prime example. We're all sitting here being like, there are no gigs, there's no money. How are we going to survive? We're artists. We just got to hunker down, whatever. But we're all still creating. We're all still making shit.
Yeah.
We're going to play a free live stream because we fucking love it. Like that should be that right now is universally felt by every artist, DJ on the planet. Doesn't matter if you were the biggest name in the world to the bedroom DJ that just bought decks and is learning how to mix their first song, so it's like I think that's one thing that will change. And I hope that the people that are still doing this and still pushing the culture and still trying to stay active during this time, I think that that'll separate a lot of wheat from the chaff, if that makes sense. It's gonna separate the people that were doing this for money as opposed to the people that were doing this because they couldn't think of any other way of living.
I'm glad you said that. It's because I feel very strongly about that. I had somebody DM me the other day on Instagram and was like, "Yo, Will, mentor me," and I was like, "Oh, like no, please and thank yous. Like, is this where we're at now?" And he was like, "No, dude, I just want to be like headlining festivals," and I was like, "Okay, I respect that. That's what you want in your life, and do that, but." Are you willing to work for 10 years without earning a single penny and still wake up every day and grind? And you're going to have those days where you want to quit. You're going to have those weeks that you're going to quit. You're going to quit. And then you're going to get back on it.
You're going to quit 500 times a month.
Yeah. and then
That's a given.
And then he asked me, was like, so how long did it take you to get to full time in music? I was like, well, I knew I wanted to be a musician when I was 9. It then took me till I was 14 to start producing and DJing. And then it took me till I was 24 to actually be touring as a DJ. And when you first start touring as a DJ, you're not earning money, you're losing money. You're like, it's only in the last couple of years that I've actually been making money. And I think also that's the kind of social media, and I think that's our fault to a certain extent, is that we show people what everyone wants to see. We don't necessarily show people the struggles.
You're not on Instagram being like, here's my cell phone bill about to get turned off. And that you're 100% right. It's the perception, but I mean, everything trickles too. You know, I mean, that's always been kind of part of the game, unfortunately. But that's also, I think, why social media has been so much better lately, because now, you know, influencers, for example, or people that, you know, normally their content's different when they're locked in their house. Their content is different when they're not getting paid to say that some soap is better than another soap. So it's like, you know, that's one thing I think, another positive that we could take away from this shit for sure. You are 100% right. The whole, like, yeah, it's awesome when you got a video and you're sitting there and you're playing in front of like 5,000 people and everybody's losing their shit on a record that you made or you put out on your label or whatever. And it's just like, that moment was, I went through my Instagram the other day because I'm bad at social media in general, but I was.
No, you're a fucking genius at social media. You're a social media genius.
No. No. I don't have no followers. I was going back through my feed, just in general, just to go through like memory lane, like, oh my God, that's where I was last year. Oh shit, that was awesome last year. Like all that. And you want to see those videos as a natural it's natural to see, like, fans want to see success. They want to see even if they want to see the illusion of success, that it's like the whole fake it till you make it thing is a real thing. It's like how everybody as an artist, kind of like, you know, nobody thinks you're hot shit until you're saying that other people are thinking that you're hot shit because they discovered you. You know what I mean? It's like you were like, no one gave a fuck about Option4 at all until I started touring. You know what I mean? Until I wasn't playing in Denver anymore, kind of thing. So the same mentality, I think, breaks down in social media. So that's like it's like a necessary part of it, I feel like, but it doesn't necessarily need to be the hype. I think the more this is going to give us a chance to be a lot more organic about shit, where artists maybe don't feel like, oh, if they don't have the perfect angle on a photo, or they're, you know, this video looked great, but oh, we got to choose this one because the fans will interact with it more, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like that side of things, I think is definitely out the window at the moment, or at least when everything does come back, will be different.
And I think for me, it's like for me, I love social media. I think it's great, and my social media does well. But for me, before COVID, I was like, I have to post every day. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to promote this. I have to promote that. I have to give people what they want, etc., etc. And what I found now is, like, people don't want that shit every day. People don't want a picture of me every day. People don't want this every day. I want to give people that special moment that is actually something special to me in that day and in that moment. I don't want to cultivate something that just doesn't feel organic.
Right.
And I think I had for the last tour, I had a battle with a lot of promoters. And it's like, you need to put the flyer on your Instagram. You need to put this. And it's like, no, I don't. Like, I'm promoting my shows in the most organic ways I possibly can. I don't want to turn my social media into an advert. I want people to actually feel
show after show.
Yeah, I want people to feel connected to who I am, and that's me as an artist. I reply to everyone. I want people to like get to know me. This is the reason why we're having this conversation, if you know what I mean. I want people to know more about my mates and know more about the industry and connect with my friends. So hopefully some of my fans will be like, Option4, I love his music. I need to go and check him out more, if you know what I mean. Or like, or some of your fans are like, 100%. I've never heard of Will Clarke. I need to go check him out now, if you know what I mean. And I think for me, that's what it's about. It's just about bringing people together organically, not forcing shit down their throat.
Exactly. It's like if you're pushing shit out and you're not receiving, then it's not a conversation. If you're only talking one-sided, then it's not a conversation. But you've always been tremendously good about that. That's why that's why your following is so strong. I feel like, and your fans resonate with you so much, is because you've never been, you are who you are. You know what I mean? You don't pull any punches. You are exactly who you are, and that's something that not a lot of artists can pull off in a lot of ways. You know, some artists are so socially weird that they're like, no, I don't ever want to talk to anybody, but I just make amazing music. So here's a photo of a plant, but it's going to get some million likes because that music is so fucking good, right?
Yeah.
Somebody like you on the other side is like, you are you're a person that people are attracted to interacting with, because you are when people follow you, they know what's going on with you. You know what I mean? It's like it's a two-sided conversation. Totally. And I think that's you've always been tremendously good at that. That's why your fan base has been so supportive throughout the years. I think that the more organic we use social media, the better. And totally. I've always kind of felt that way, but I think now we're seeing post-COVID that is the stuff that's actually shining through. Yeah. People want to connect with something they realize more, as opposed to, or something they can do too. Like you think about like a perfectly crafted, edited photo that is like, you paid a photographer to shoot of something or whatever. Won't necessarily get as many likes as something that is just snapped on an iPhone, because that 17-year-old that's sitting there like that follows your music, what do they have? They got an iPhone. They don't have some photographer following them around, right? So it's a lot more relatable. So I think that's a really healthy thing. That's a good thing, I think.
I agree. So the other day I saw your rant on, it wasn't even a rant. I've fully agreed on it about the Movement Festival lineup. On the live stream. And like this is the side of social media that I fucking hate. And I get it now and again. We all get it now and again. But this annoys me, so you can explain. But dude, I was really ready to go on a rant as well, because this shit annoys me so much.
Well, I think the biggest problem with that, well, I guess what bothered me is like, this isn't the time to complain about anything.
So let's tell people what actually happened to start with.
Okay, so here's the deal. What happened was there was a Movement is a festival that I love dearly with my whole heart. I've gone every year for 7 years. Even when I barely had the money, I would still find a way to Detroit, And my favorite thing about Movement was it wasn't an expensive festival to go to. Yeah. You're not spending $400 a night on a hotel and expensive airfare and $500 on a ticket, and it's not like that. It's always been a proper American underground festival. And so I'm particular. I think
one of
I'm a
the
little bit,
only one of the only
yeah. I mean, it's the Mecca, man.
underground American insane music festival.
Yeah, I mean, you go to every single fucking stage, and every single stage is absolutely playing
Fucking
absolute
amazing.
fire
Yeah.
at all times. There is, it's like really, really, it's yeah. So that's movement. Well, they came out. Obviously, we can't have movement this weekend. We would be there right now. I
I
feel like
know
right
we
now.
would.
That's what I was supposed to be there right now. But yeah, like they are going to do their streaming festival for their fans this weekend, and they put out the lineup, and the lineup. It was awesome. The lineup was a bunch of big names that I was looking forward to seeing this weekend anyway. But the feedback in the group and the feedback on social media was people trying to shred this lineup, like saying it was a diet techno lineup and this wasn't cool enough, and where is this act and where is this act and all that stuff. And it was just, to me, it kind of popped my top for a second, because I was sitting there going, man, like, first off, none of these fans have any idea, have any idea like what artists even have the ability to stream. Like a lot of even these big names, like I said, they don't have decks. They can't even, if you were on the lineup right now and you were supposed to play this weekend, do you really want to go spend $500 renting CDJs so you can do a free live stream for this, for this situation? So it's like, like the people are playing with what they have. They're doing what they can to offer and express their art. And this is not the time to try and critique a lineup or critique, like, I think somebody made the comment, they were like, I wasn't trying to be negative. I was just trying to critique it. And I was like, well, first of all, motherfucker, if you're going to critique anything, you have to be a peer. So let's see your online festival that you booked this weekend to give people a free experience. So like, just the concept of like, of talking shit or trying to, not be appreciative of what's trying to exist right now and keep the culture, just was something that I just I was like, I got all fired up. I was like the old man on the lawn. I was like, listen, kids.
Dude, I totally agree, because like we know, especially you as a promoter and an artist, we know how much time and effort a festival, a club show takes, let alone a festival. And especially like for me, living in Detroit and knowing how community movement is, and how it used to be Demph, but like now it's movement, and it has been for a while. But I know how much work all those guys and girls put into that festival, and how much the city relies on that festival. Like everybody in that city knows about movement. Like there's not a single person, even if they don't listen to techno, even if they don't listen to anything remotely modern, if you know what I mean, they still know about movement or Demph. And the lineup always cracks me up. Every year they release it, it's 90% of the comments are just people bitching about why isn't this person on, why isn't that person on, why isn't this person on. Yeah, they still sell out every year. It's just social media. But I think that's the thing that really frustrated me the most, was you're getting it for free.
You're not paying anything.
Like you're seeing some of the biggest DJs and some of the most underground, coolest DJs that you would never even fucking have heard of, and you're gonna experience new art that you've never experienced. Like, in fact, my roommate Un, he's actually performing. He's doing the live one. Oh, I lost you.
Okay, yeah, we're good.
Cool. So yeah, what we were saying before we got cut off was like, you're getting this amazing lineup for free, and like there's so many artists on. There's a lot of obviously well-known artists, and there's a few unknown artists, and there's a few artists that if you're not in that scene, you're not gonna know. Like my roommate Un, in Detroit, he's like this super like underground industrial techno guy that some people that would never see him, if you know what I mean. And his music's unreal, and his music's just on another level, and you're gonna be given this opportunity that even if you went to the festival and saw he was playing, you wouldn't necessarily go and see him, because you might not know, he might not be in your genre. But that's the amazing thing about this lineup is that you're getting people that you don't necessarily know, and you're being educated.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of a festival, right? The beauty of a festival is to be able to walk around and discover stuff you're not, that
Yeah.
you wouldn't typically go. Like it sucks to go to a festival and you're sitting there going, I'm gonna see these 9 acts that I've seen 15 times before because that's the only names that like or not names you know on lineup, but just like if you've already seen them before, it's kind of like that being said, there are certain artists that I will see every single time, no matter. That's part of the game too. But you're the point of a festival should be to educate and offer opportunities to expose people to different music. It should be that way, and movement's always been that.
It's amazing.
With the online lineup, I love the lineup, and I'm really looking forward to smoking a big old giant blunt and dance my ass off tomorrow night. That's what my plans are. So what's up? What time does your boy play?
I don't know. I text him and ask him.
Let me know because I want to catch a set now. If it's something that mind bending, I want to get into it.
Dude, it's unreal. It's hard.
It's super
hard as fuck.
Like how hard? Like, well, give me a possible artist to kind of like gauge. Like Rodad, like harder than that.
So I would say Rodad is like the biggest person in his genre, maybe. But okay. I would say he plays harder than Rodad. Rodad's quite melodic. Let me just text him, dude. What time?
I haven't seen him play in a minute. But that's exciting. That's cool.
Dude, I'll send you some of his music as well. He just released a new EP on his label Ego Death, and it's controversial as well. He's quite political with his music in certain situations, and this EP is very fucking political.
As it should be.
I don't know what's happened. There we go. Something weird happened then. And it was like it's amazing. I'll send it to you. But yes, it's actually going to be the only live stream that I'm probably going to actually. I'll hold my hands up. I haven't watched a single live stream. I've watched like a few. Dude,
I'm gonna send you a couple that you're gonna fucking love. Like first off, like if you got this platform right now, there's this dude named Suat. You need to watch his live streams. It's awesome. Good? Also, Falamore has been doing some really cool shit too. If you fuck with him, and then one that I really this Suat guy though, you're gonna love, dude. You just gotta see it. It's like I picture like this dude being your neighbor, like in England. Like I swear, he probably lives down the street from you, but he's this dude that like during like the exercise hour or whatever every day. He straps CDJs to himself like a little Pioneer controller, and he walks through the forest and DJs live stream, and it's epic. The dude is a legend. Like that's the dude. That's a dude that I want to play at my party. When this shit comes back, I want that dude is doing it for the love, man. I really have been enjoying his shit.
Can you remember that guy? I forgot his name, but he was like he was like an engineer, and I forgot his name. You'll know. I can't.
Wankamut.
With the like massive like dildo.
Oh,
what was his name? What was his name?
I've
got.
Oh my God! What is his?
I'm googling.
Hold on. That's gonna kill me.
DJ with mechanical.
DJ with dildo. DJ with dildo.
Mechanical
mask.
Dildo. Mask. Because he's like a really intelligent. Ankle pants.
It's ankle pants.
Yeah, ankle pants.
Yeah, ankle pants. Yeah, that dude's a legend, and he came to Denver in one of our little DIY venues back in the day.
Was it amazing?
Yeah, it was. I didn't go, but I really wanted to. I think I had a party that night, but I was just like, oh my God, this guy's absolutely on some next level shit.
Fucking genius, man. I watched the Fortet one.
Oh, okay, cool. Was it good?
Yeah, it was really good.
I'm sure everything that guy does is just.
Yeah, musically it was amazing. Visually, not so amazing, but that's just it's so hard to make live streams visually amazing. Maceo did a great job of making it visually amazing, but I didn't even watch that. I just saw clips of it.
I saw clips of it too, but that was actually really cool because he was able to get people that were dancing in their Zoom channels to be on his stream. So it was like people were able to, it almost kind of like, it's different when you get to see people
interactive.
dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Justin Martin. Obviously, this is actually going to go out on next week, Tuesday, which is going to be after Movement. But I think Justin Martin's doing the Movement live stream, and I just saw on his Instagram he's set up like loads of green screens in his studio. So it's going to be amazing.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I'm the worst live streamer. I just like wake up 3 minutes before I'm supposed to play, and I stumble outside, hook up the deck, and I'm like, get me on the table, baby. What's up?
and the parking lot daddy in the corner.
You know what? That was so funny. That shit went so viral. Like,
it was amazing.
We because of the chatter or something in the chat room, and I had no idea what was going on during that time, but we ended up going super viral. Like, it was the focused set. When you open up Twitch, the first thing you saw, we were on the front page, like the first thing you saw for like 45 minutes.
That's amazing. So
it was like 80,000 views in like an hour, like, streaming in, and everybody just like, who's this live daddy? And I could tell somebody was kind of like, I every time I was looking around, like I could see people in the street that hear like a little bit of music that was on my balcony, so I could engage a little bit that way, but I had no idea what was going on in that shit. Like, I had no idea how wild that was getting those type. But the reason that went viral and the reason everybody fucked with that concept was it was organic.
Yeah,
it was
totally.
Like people could engage and see something. You know what I'm saying? Like that's different than just playing really dope records like in your kitchen or whatever you got. It ends up giving that extra kind of like that organic human component. And I think that's like why people why it kind of went so viral is because that's the one thing that's the hardest thing to emulate when you're doing a live stream, is that human connection.
Totally, man. I loved it. When I saw it, I was like, this is fucking genius. This is genius without planning anything.
The dude literally drove up from Colorado Springs. Like, I got in touch with him later. And
really?
He saw the building and he was like, I know where that's at. And I think he's like, I think I know where it's at. Like, we talked for like, 20, 30 minutes after the set. Cause I was just like, what are you doing? So it was just like, he's like, yo man, I've been home for like 30 days and I've never danced. I just decided to drive up here and dance a little bit. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's the type of shit
so
I'm
good.
About. So
that's so good.
Daddy.
So dude, it's been amazing to catch up. Thank you so much for coming on, man, and let's do this more often, hopefully next time in person.
Yeah, man, I know. I miss you to death. Thanks a lot for having me on the show, and yeah, let's send me some of this new music you're working on.
I will, man. I've got lots to send you. How can people follow you and hear about the record label, tell people the Instagram handles, etc.?
Okay, so it's just HotBoi Records on Instagram. I think there's an underscore in between, but it's BOI, not BOY. That's a really important thing.
It is.
Spell dumb. And then just Option4 Music on everything else. And that's just that's on all the socials. So
when are you guys doing another HotBoi merch drop?
Oh, it's gonna be next week. But the main thing that is, I'm working on something you're gonna be kind of proud of. I think I got something big I'm working on. And I'll explain it to you maybe when it kind of solidifies, because I don't want to whatever. But I am gonna be starting we're working on an actual like HotBoi Records radio show.
Dope.
And we're gonna dive into that thing with the live stream situation here. We're getting everything kind of planned right now, but it should be kind of unique and different. So working on that, and then as far as music's concerned, I made records finally. Like, I've been so busy with all this other stuff that I haven't been making any records at all. And I finally started making records again. So
that's nice.
I signed a record this morning to repopulate Mars. So
congrats! That's amazing.
I think that'll be a good one when it comes out. But yeah, man, your baby boy is back in the saddle. He's not just baby. Like stone depressed loser from they can't form a sentence.
with the HotBoi record stuff that you're planning, just to hit me up beforehand. I've got some things that I want to send over to you, and I've got some concepts I'm working on. So let's speak after this.
Absolutely. Let's stay in touch, especially when things start to develop a little bit. But yeah, I'm thinking the next couple of weeks we'll have some actual good news to announce and start, figuring out like some different ways of kind of different avenues to try and promote this music.
Totally, man. Big love you, dude. Keep safe, and I'll catch you soon.
Love
all
you
right,
too, man. Thanks for the time. All right, drink Topo Chico.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So I love that show. That was amazing. I hope you did as well. If you did enjoy it, I would love you forever if you can hit the review, hit the star button on what you think it should be. Just let everybody know. Send it to your mum, send it to your gran, send it to your mates, send it to whoever you feel is going to enjoy listening to us to ramble on. However, thank you very much. Keep safe out there, and I will see you next time.